Hey guys, Wolvie here. This is RWBY Volume 9 Predictions Part 1. Now, I don't know when I'm going to be doing Parts 2 and or 3 for the channel, but again, this is just based on the post-credit scene in Volume 8. Meaning that you have Volume 8, Chapter 14, that's all said and done. And then you see a post-credit scene after the credits. And it is a kind of a telling one, to be in all honesty. So with that, I'm going to base it off on that scene alone. And with that, the usual disclaimer applies. Any opinion in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And with that, we're going to go into a couple of screenshots. I'm going to pause the video so you guys get to see what I mean. Now, this is the first one you see here. Now, you get to see RWBY's weapon press its rose. Now, I tried to get the entire weapon on the screen, but the timing of the screenshot got a little bit too soon. But you do see here RWBY's weapon crest its rose. And let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So, you're not going to be seeing anybody else here. But we can see here is that we're at a bunch of palm trees. And there's we're towards a body of water. So this is part of what we do know based on that scene. Now the other scene here, let me zoom in. So we have here a tree. So looks like Team RWBY is in another location, separated from everyone, outside of Jean, outside of Neo, and potentially Penny's body. Now, we do know, we can't confirm that Penny in her human form has died. John was forced to kill her. So, with that, what could very well happen in Volume 9? Now, a few things that we know that is for Volume 9 is that it is potential, it is possible that Volume 9 is going to be a shorter volume than the other volumes thus far. We simply do not know the number of chapters for Volume 9 as of yet. So that's what we do know. That's what's been the talk around the whole Volume 9 in that retrospect. But we do know that RWBY and company, alongside Jean, Neo, and Penny's body, are at this very location. So, and we do know that the area has a tree with it. Now, the question is, we don't know where this is. Now, Miles did hint off in a previous interview that they were going to try something different for Volume 9. Of course, being Miles, he had to be extremely vague about it, with him being one of the writers for the show. Which is something I wish some people would understand within the fandom. Now, with that bit out of the way, we know that we're not going to see Team RWBY in vacuo as of yet, but what could very well happen? Now, based off the weapon here, I do see that Team RWBY really needs to evolve their abilities, what they can do. The reason why I say they really need to evolve their abilities is because how do you think Salem and company, especially Cinder, has been able to thwart them every single step of the way thus far? How has Salem and company, again with Cinder, how have they been able to have Beacon and Atlas Academies fall as efficiently as they did? They were several steps ahead, surprisingly. Now, in order for Team RWBY to stop Salem and Cinder, is that they have to step up their game in sense of what they can do. Now, we do see we've already seen bits and pieces of it with RWBY, but the rest of the team really needs to step it up. Weiss is a bit of a question mark, Yeah. And I think we're going to be seeing Weiss, probably being more vocal in sense of certain aspects, because we know in Volume 8 that Weiss really didn't say a whole lot. But something kind of tells me that Weiss might be feeling bad, because it's like some of her plans didn't go as well. But in retrospect, it kind of proves why Weiss was not picked to be the team leader for Team RWBY. Now, the whole thing with the leadership mode for RWBY, we're probably going to see RWBY doing more unorthodox things until she gets reunited with Crescent Rose, because we do know that RWBY is in fact separated from the weapon, so it's more like RWBY has to find it. And I think Blake's going to be the one that has to help her, so because of all that, and I don't think Blake is without her weapon as well, they're going to have to rely on their Sevelises themselves in order to get back to Remnant. And we're going to be seeing, probably going to be seeing a lot more Ladybug moments, meaning that it's, for those of you familiar with fan fiction, Ladybug is a romantic pairing of RWBY and Blake. So we do know that we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of that. A lot more of RWBY and Blake. Now, for me, when it comes to like shipping stuff, like I said before, I keeping who I ship to myself, and that's for my own personal safety, because social media could be, well, you can figure out the rest. So we're probably going to be seeing some degree of RWBY and Blake moments, because again, we don't know where Yang is. We do know that Yang has her weapons, so it's a matter of evolving as a team in the sense of their semblances, what they can do. Now, the reason why I say it like that is because, again, we know that parts of Volume 8, Yang was separated from the team. Yang was questioning RWBY's decision-making, that sort of thing. Now, I think decision-making, may come down to RWBY again in the sense of, like, questioning certain things, but who's going to be questioning certain things and to who exactly? Now, with that bit out of the way, like I said, we see here what looks to be the Tree of Life. Now, based on this, we don't know where Team RWBY is. We don't know where Jean is, or even Neil alongside Penny's body. But based on that fall sequence from chapters 13 and 14 in Volume 8, we do know that Team RWBY is practically separated altogether. We don't know who is where. Now, what we do know is that, again, in Chapter 13, Yang was the first one of the team to fall. Now, in Chapter 14, RWBY and Blake fell at the same time, and they were in close proximity to each other. Now, with that being said, that Weiss is going to be the one who was the last person standing. She's probably going to be the one that's likely the closest to Blake's weapon. So, it's a matter of how are both Blake and RWBY get reunited with their weapons. And again, the team as a whole, they need to evolve their skills, because you saw teases of it with John at the end of Volume 8. We've seen it again with Ren earlier on in Volume 8. And then with Winter, being the new Winter Maiden. Yeah. Now, the whole thing here with this particular scene, now we probably get to see the more extended version of the post-credit scene from post-Volume 5. Because we do know in Volume 5, that post-credit scene, we see a bird heading to Patch, paying Tai Yang a visit, and now we're probably going to see, and this is because of the end of Volume 8, before the post-credit scene, we get to see a little bit more of that particular interaction. Because we do know that Tai Yang is not in a good mood when he sees the bird. Now, it comes down to who is it going to be, if it's going to be Raven or Crow. One of them is going to be paying Tai Yang a visit, and now that we know what happened at the end of Volume 8, we now have more of what's the nature of that visit, and it's about saying that RWBY and Yang, they're probably going to be saying they're in trouble. And with Crow, he has a much more accurate idea of what's going on, because RWBY and Yang are missing, and I think that's just going to be the very nature of that visit. Say, they're missing, we gotta find them. Or alternatively, somebody be saying, hey, they're dead, that sort of thing. Because we do know that how the way Winter reacted when she saw everybody, saw the Team RWBY, Neo, Jean, Penny's body disappear the way they did, even though Penny is dead. It's like, Winter's not going to be a happy camper. And I do feel we're going to be seeing a Winter Cinder round 3. Because now that Winter is a little bit more powerful, she's a lot more formidable than we think she is. And with Winter, I do feel she's going to be picking up the Crow's torch in the sense that she's going to be guiding Emerald, Oscar, Ren, and Nora. She's going to be guiding that crew. And we do know that Nora has a word from John saying, hey, we got to get as many huntsmen as possible. So now I think we're going to be seeing Winter and Nora, hey, we got to get as many people as possible. Now, with that bit all out of the way, I do feel we're going to be seeing the Ravens return. But the question is, how? And with that bit out of the way, we're going to go into Weiss herself. I kind of hinted certain things here and there. I've alluded to the fact that she's probably going to have her trial by fire. Now, we do know in Volume 6, RWBY had something like that pertaining to a really huge grim in size. She was able to hold it still for long enough for Cordova to get rid of it. And that particular one, Cordova realized, she's got to be for the people. Not just Ironwood, but for the people. So with Weiss, we're probably going to be seeing a trial by fire with her, but it's probably going to be a little bit different from RWBY. And I do feel like I said before, I've been predicting this. I do predict Weiss is going to be leaving the team. She's going to be saying, I'm going to go back to Atlas to help rebuild. And again, RWBY's not going to take it too well. Probably forces Blake and Yang's hand in another regard. Now, that bit out of the way, let me check my time because I do need to get ready for work. Now, with that, now the whole thing with Maria and Pietro, we don't know where they are, and we do need something that confirms their fates. Now, that bit out of the way, I also feel at some point we're going to be seeing remnant the overall population of what happened to Team RWBY, Jean, Neo, and Penny. Probably going to see some stuff here and there, a lot of it mixed, that sort of thing. Now, I do feel that we're going to be seeing an uneasy alliance of sorts between Neo and Team RWBY, alongside Jean. Because I think Neo finds out that RWBY had nothing to do with what happened to Roman Torchwick. Now, you see, remember in Volume 8, Hazel realized, I'm like, okay, I've been lied to by Salem this entire time. It's about time I grow a pair, man up, and do the right thing. And he sacrificed his life to ensure Emerald, Jean, Ren, Oscar, and Yang all escaped alive. Because he wanted to do what his sister could have wanted to do as well. Is to fight back. Fight against evil. That sort of thing. So, let me grab my notes here. Now, my biggest question here is, where they are now. Now, if they're in another dimension over there, will they be able to return? And by they, Neo, Jean, and Team RWBY. Will those people be able to return to Remnant? If they do, what is the price they are going to pay? Now, I do hope we get a little bit more information on relics and the Meta powers, and to be more specific here, if the person who has a relic can also have the Meta powers associated to this specific relic. Because if you think about it carefully, Cinder was unable to get the Spring Maiden powers because the Spring Maiden relic was tied to the Spring Maiden, and that is being Raven. Now, for the Winter Maiden relic, the staff, it's now tied to Winter. Yet, Cinder was unable to get the Winter Maiden powers. And we're talking about the Fall relic, the Fall Maiden relic to be more specific, and Summer Maiden relic. It's only one relic per maiden. So I hope we get a little bit more information on that. Meaning that, is the relic meant for Cinder just the Fall relic? Now, for Salem, I do hope she finds out what Cinder's been planning, because Cinder's not. I'm not liking Cinder, in the sense of like she's becoming more like very, very much Two-Faced. Now, I do hope in Volume 9 that we find out Ironwood's fate. Like I said, with his actions, he is a dead man. But the question is, who is going to kill him, or how is he going to die if it's not murder? Now, another thing I probably will be seeing here, or I should say will be predicting, is a more point of view switches. Because, again, you have Team RWBY in distinct locations within this map. Within this area. It's a matter of where they are exactly, what they're going to do to get their weapons back and be reunited as a team, alongside talking with Jean and Neo. And Neo, if she does get her voice here, that's going to be a surprising thing, and in some eyes, it's overdue. So with that, I'm done with this video, because there's not much more I can really see for right now. I'm just going over predictions based on the post-credit scene. As you can see here, we do know that Blake and RWBY are going to have to get their weapons back somehow. But the question is how. And they also have to evolve as a team in the sense of their abilities. And the team has to have a heart-to-heart chat, because in all honesty, there are issues I feel they still need to sort out. So that's that on that, and with this particular video. So, I'm done. With Wolvie here, signing off. I will catch you all on the flip side.